To the first part of Super Sunday then. Manchester United travel to Bournemouth. They're 15th in the Premier League table, but Rúben Amorim insists they can still attract the biggest names to Old Trafford. Darren, is he right?
I'm not so sure. And listen, I'm here to be honest about what my opinion is. I'm not so sure. At the moment, you look at Man United, they're still a huge club, but there are other clubs that provide the opportunity for players to play in the elite European competition at the moment. And let's not kid ourselves, the best players want to play in the Champions League. They want to be in Europe. United are not there at the moment. That's not to say they can't be there. And certainly with the leadership of Bruno Fernandes, there's every chance they could return. We have seen players go from mid-table up to the European places, even challenge for the title. I think Chelsea were 10th the season before Conte arrived and were up there punching their weight in terms of competing for the title. But those clubs were more stable than United are now. And that's the big problem they have. Also, Amorim himself has said, look, I'm not going to go for stardust. I'm going to go for players that fit into my system.
Okay.
And those players might not necessarily be A-list names, but they'll be the sum of the parts that I need for my club. So it does remain to be seen what direction their transfer business will take this summer. And just because they might not be getting A-list names doesn't mean they won't have a chance of punching their way higher up the table, but I don't think it will be the A-listers that the bigger clubs have got the luxury of being able to look at.
Yeah, and it's interesting about that because I think Pep Guardiola always used to say that, you know, he doesn't necessarily go for the starters. He goes for a player that fits into what he needs, and sometimes he could have that person that comes in and he thinks they're not right for me, no thank you, even though they could be, you know, like I say, an A-lister. Matheus Cunha, is he an A-lister? I mean, Wolves player, very keen to go to Old Trafford, it would seem, so...
Yeah, I think if you've got somebody who is keen and wants to be part of it, that's a good start. Then you've got the talent of Cunha and what he's done at Wolves over the years. He's consistently got experience at the top level in the Premier League. So again, that's another plus. People say sometimes about, you know, and point to the sending off, say a couple of those he's had, and I don't know. I think he's got a bit of personality and character about him that is needed for a club like Manchester United, because part of the thing when you're recruiting for the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools and the Real Madrids of this world is you have to be able to cope with the expectation and everything that comes with that. To me, he comes across as a player who can do that. He seems to have a very strong character. I think that's come across, and certainly I'm only judging this by a couple of interviews I've done with him over the years, and I came away very impressed by the way he talked and the way he saw football, and you know, only really judging it on that, but combined with what he's done on the pitch and, yeah, the experience in the Premier League, I think all of those things come together. I can see it as a really shrewd signing, especially in an area of the pitch, and you think of Amorim's system, that he would fit in nicely, and I think Bruno Fernandes, a lot of the time, when he does come across as frustrated, is maybe because the team's not quite clicking, and quite often maybe to him it feels like he is doing a lot of it on his own. Well, this is another very exciting attacking talent that may just take the pressure off him as well. So I can see that being a really shrewd, smart signing.
Darren, are they built to win the Premier League? Premier League? Europa League. That's where the chance at the moment, not the Premier League. Sorry, didn't want to get Manchester United fans excited there. Look, for all their faults, though, they have won the FA Cup and the League Cup in the last 2 seasons. So is this a team that you can see winning the Europa League this time around? If
they play like they did in the first, 70 minutes of that quarter-final tie, yes. If they play as they did in the subsequent 20-25 minutes, no. But then if they can regain the fire that they finished that tie with, yes. So that's a kind of shortened way of saying it depends which Manchester United turn up. And the problem with their season is that you just don't know. Bournemouth could become the 6th Premier League team to complete the double over them this season. Now, you've got to go back to the 1930s for the last time that many teams kicked Manchester United around. And that's the problem that they have. They've got the individual quality in that team, in that squad even. But in terms of the defensive collective responsibility and discipline, that's not there. In terms of the goal-scoring power, that certainly isn't there. And that's why this summer is such a crucial one for Manchester United as a club. Not just Amorim, United in terms of their direction as a club.
You talk about that Lyon game. I mean, is that a platform, do you think, for Rúben Amorim? Because sometimes you need a moment, don't you, as a manager or anything, any walk in life where you go, take us back to that moment, you know, what was going through their minds. You know, it was an extraordinary night, you know, for the neutrals just watching. It was a magnificent game to watch, actually, the ebb and flow. So is that perhaps the platform that Amorim needs now to say to his players, you are capable of this?
Yeah, because a moment like that can galvanise a squad.
Yeah.
It can just give players the belief that actually this is going in the right direction. Some good can come of this, and it's also very good for when you think of the build-up to the Lyon tie, with everything that went on with Onana and Matic and all of those kind of things. It's also a way that kind of helps build an us v them scenario that all managers want to build, and all champions over the years and all teams that have won big trophies have had.
Yeah.
They've had that air of invincibility about them, and maybe Manchester United are a long way off that, but I think a moment like that can just, you know, give them that belief, give them that energy. I mean, it will help if they go on and win the trophy, but even if they don't, and what they do in the summer is crucial, but if they pull all that together with a smart summer building and maybe a positive end of the season, then who knows, it can change. We've seen Darren mention some of the examples. Things can change quickly season by season.
I wonder how many of their players would be in a team of the year. I'm not sure many would make it, you'd have to say, but Ian Ladyman in the Mail has gone sort of one better, hasn't he, and said that actually Bruno Fernandes should be deserved to be the player of the season for the Football Writers Award. What are your thoughts on that?
I like this piece because it does what all good columnists, and Ian's one of the best, do. That they make you think, they make you consider it. And he says, look, the player of the season generally tends to come from the teams that have won something. But he believes, in his opinion, it's about influence. I'll just read you a little bit of his piece. He says, I always think there's one thing that sets great players apart from very good ones. It's levels. It's much easier to play well in a team that's on a good path. Much harder to keep your levels high when teammates are letting theirs fall. And that's the argument on which he builds this column. And he's right to say that Fernandes has maintained a really good level and been a real leader in a side where the numbers have been horrific for Manchester United this season. So there is a case to be made for him. Set against that, it's hard to make that case against Salah, who has been pivotal in Liverpool winning only their second Premier League title in 35 years. And he's had the most goals and assists in a 38-game season. So you really pays your money and takes your choice. But I think as far as Ian is concerned, he's made a few people think with this column.
It definitely makes you think. And if you pulled Bruno Fernandes out of that Manchester United team and put him in one of the more complete teams, or at a different stage of their development, if you like, if you put him in a Liverpool team or an Arsenal team, or even Aston Villa, Man City, Chelsea, any of the teams up in the Champions League places, he would be, he's such a good player. Or even in a completely new Manchester United team, if it happens next season, if they get enough to turn their fortunes around, he can be even more of a force. So it does get you thinking about where they would be without him. Some of the moments that he's produced and match-winning moments that he's had this season are just times when he's done something outside the norm that have helped his team. So imagine him in a team that's actually functioning well. That could be a scare, and that's when he maybe will actually win the awards. But I think in this case, Darren's made a good point. You always find, as much as you consider someone like him, you always feel bad if you don't actually think, you don't give it to someone like Salah, given the numbers that he's racked up this season, and his team's about to win the league.
If Salah doesn't win it this year, he'll think, what do I have to do to win this award?
Yeah.
It just would be crazy for my money.
In a word, and I mean a word, Manchester United, Europa League, are they going to win it?
No.
That was a word. I'll give you a word as well. Yes or no?
I think it'll be either Manchester United or Spurs. I think the way they see it...
That's more than one word.
That is. So I can't. No.
What, who knows?
What, Vicky?
Yes. See, and look at me. How well do I behave? One word, I said, and I do one word. My family are watching. They're all Manchester United fans, so I better say yes.
In a recent segment on Sky Sports News, reporter Paul Gilmour and the Daily Mail's assistant editor Darren Lewis weighed in on Manchester United manager Rúben Amorim's belief that the Premier League giants still have the pulling power to attract the biggest names in world football. Gilmour pointed out that despite United's recent struggles, the club's global stature, financial strength, and historic success continue to make Old Trafford a dream destination for top talent. It's still Manchester United, Gilmour said. Players grow up wanting to wear that shirt. Darren Lewis agreed but added that results and direction matter now more than ever. Star players want ambition and stability, he said. If United continue to struggle without Champions League football, it could affect their appeal in the long run. As Amorim looks to reshape United's future, the debate rages on: can United still command respect in the modern transfer market?